Welcome back. This is the second half of chapter 1. We'll talk about the European conquest, what they got, what the Indians got, what were some of the motives. In terms of who discovered America first European, in all likelihood it was Leif Erikson. Although he does establish a colony or a settlement in Newfoundland in 1000 AD or CE, he doesn't get any credit because the historians just didn't record what he was doing. Um, but we primarily give the credit to Columbus. Some of the reasons why the Europeans were seeking to explore the New World and to colonize it. Uh, there were some things happening back in Europe. One, the European nations were starting to emerge as strong countries. Feudal system coming to an end. The Dark Ages comes to an end. The Renaissance is upon them. New technology allows exploration where they couldn't do it before. Of course, the Europeans were seeking new markets and for their goods, and also trying to get goods from India and also Asia. There was quite a bit of competition between Protestants and Catholics because of the Reformation. Here's a picture of a good old Leif in his longboat. The Renaissance certainly was an age of discovery, a lot of optimism. People believed that they could accomplish a great deal. The Portuguese are going to lead the way. Prince Henry the Navigator is somebody you'll need to know for the AP exam. He's going to establish a school for navigators and captains, and he's going to fund expeditions along the west coast of Africa, and eventually Portugal will establish trade routes to India and Asia. He wanted to cut the Arabs out because they had a monopoly for all goods coming over the Silk Road and from India, and so he sought to go around Africa. And eventually Vasco da Gama will accomplish that. Now, Diaz is going to reach the tip of South Africa in 1488. Here's Prince Henry the Navigator funding the way. Vasco da Gama will reach India, Goa, and establish trade there. Cabral is a Portuguese sailor, captain, blown off course, lands in Brazil, and gives essentially the first claim to the Portuguese in the New World. Vespucci, why do we need to know him? Well, his middle name is used to identify the Americas. Amerigo, hence America. Some German geographer believed he was the one who discovered the New World. Spanish explorers, of course, Columbus right at the top, convinced King Ferdinand and Isabel that there was a way to India if you just sailed west. He takes 3 ships the first voyage and establishes a settlement in Hispaniola, which is now Dominican Republic, Haiti. He makes 4 voyages, never really accomplishes what he set out to do, and that was to become rich and famous. He will Christianize some of the Indians in the Caribbean, and he did amass a certain amount of fame, but he pretty much dies a broken man. He miscalculated about 8,000 miles. It's a good thing that the Americas were there, or he would have died at sea. Now, the Portuguese and the French, or the Portuguese and the Spanish, will sign a peace treaty orchestrated by the Pope, both being Catholic nations. The Pope didn't want Portugal or Spain to go to war, so he proposed a treaty of Tordesillas, and they both sign it, and it divides up the New World. Of course, the people to the north, the French and the English and the Dutch and the Swedes, probably didn't take too kindly to that. But nonetheless, they divided up the world. Now, as far as some notable explorers, possibly they could ask a question about Balboa. He discovers the Pacific through Panama. Magellan makes a trip around the world, or at least his body did, because he dies in the Philippines. They throw him in a keg of whiskey or rum, and he's pickled, and they take him back. Ponce de Leon discovers, really actually the first Spaniard to discover North America. He lands in Florida looking for the Fountain of Youth. Coronado is going to explore the Southwest looking for the 7 cities of gold. This shows some of the trade or the early explorers laying claim to the New World. And you can see that the French and the Great Britain and the Netherlands are primarily located in North America, because Central and South America is sewed up by the Portuguese and Spain, all looking for El Dorado. They're all looking pretty much for gold, and also the Northwest Passage. Conquistadors, these are the guys, the conquerors, pretty brutal bunch, bloodthirsty. De Soto will destroy tribes in the Mississippi and the Southwest. Cortez, again, will conquer the Aztecs, Montezuma, and Pizarro will conquer Peru, the Incas. As far as the French are concerned, they will lay claim Giovanni in 1524, sails around the Carolinas to Maine, and gives Spain his first claim. Here it shows Cortez conquering Montezuma, and here is Pizarro conquering the Inca emperor Atahualpa. In terms of how the settlement took place, for the Spanish it was pretty much explorers, then conquering, missionaries are sent, the priests, people are sent over to establish permanent settlements, and then the colony is established. That was pretty much the pattern. Getting back to the French, Cartier is going to explore the St. Lawrence River area, giving claim to France. Champlain probably might ask a question about him. He's considered the father of New France, established the settlement of Quebec. La Salle is going to sail the Great Lakes and the Mississippi, and all the way to now what is now known as New Orleans. The French were very successful trading with the Indians. They saw them as trading partners. It was a two-way street. They gave gifts to the Indians, and in turn they got furs, which was the valuable commodity. Again, here's the father of New France, Champlain. La Salle, a picture of him. The French had a minimal impact on the Indians. They weren't necessarily looking to cultivate land. They were looking to set up trading posts and collect furs. And they didn't allow a lot of settlers to come to the New World, which is going to put them behind the English. And when the French and Indian Wars of 4 years, 4 different wars fought between the French and the English, eventually the French are going to be booted out of North America, mainly because they don't have as many people. The French intensified the warfare between the tribes. The Algonquin and the Huron became their allies. They supplied them with arms and hatchets and swords, and although the Indians didn't use swords, but they used iron implements. The gunpowder gives them an edge. The Iroquois were the British allies. Most of the tribes are going to be destroyed because of disease and alcoholism. Those are going to be real negative effects on Native Americans. The English, why do they, why did most of the people want to come to the New World and feel that it's probably they're going to be successful? The British fleet destroys the Spanish Armada in 1588. King Philip is trying to destroy Elizabeth, and unsuccessful. A fleet of 130 ships is just pretty much wiped out by the English. Why did the English want to come? Well, because with this Armada, the doors open and they have an increase of population. Those people got to go someplace, and they're looking for economic gain, religious freedom, so forth. Stock companies, joint stock companies, were a way to fund some of these expeditions. People investing in a company and hoping to get a return on their money, so you didn't have to foot the whole bill. This picture shows the Spanish Armada being destroyed by the English fleet. Of course, they want to bring Protestantism to the New World to compete against the Catholics from France and Spain. Some notable explorers: Cabot, Newfoundland down to Virginia. Drake circumnavigates the globe, kind of a thorn in the British side, or the Spanish side, raiding galleons on the west coast of Americas. Sir Humphrey Gilbert attempted a colony in Newfoundland but died at sea, and the effort was unsuccessful. Jean Cabot, although from Genoa, Italian, he sails for the English and gives them more claim to the New World. Picture of Drake. Sir Walter Raleigh attempted a colony off the coast of Virginia, but it failed. It isn't going to be until 1607 that the British establish Jamestown that they have a successful settlement in the New World. The results of this European impact on the Native Americans and vice versa, Native Americans really come out short on this. A lot of people are killed because of disease, destructive results of alcoholism. They do get firearms, cattle, horses, things that they enjoy, but on balance, they would have been better served not to have had any contact with the Europeans. Here's a picture of Raleigh establishing a colony, or unsuccessful colony, in Roanoke. For the Europeans, they are going to establish a global empire. For the Spanish especially, and the Portuguese, Spanish more than the Portuguese, they're going to acquire a lot of gold and silver. The English and the French are going to acquire furs. Certainly an explosion of capitalism, greed, people trying to make a buck, and the Europeans will significantly improve their diet because of the contact with Native Americans. And we'll stop right